this is new here at QVC. It's been incredibly popular, and it's on a preseason sale price for you of just $21.72. This is that burst of color that you're going to love to see year after year, because it's a perennial,
Absolutely.
which we'll talk about in just a second.
Absolutely.
But you can bring this home on 5 easy monthly payments of $4.34. This is a great filler where you can't grow plants, and it's great for lining pathways, filling in places where there's trees, and you're getting the 4-piece collection.
4 colors.
Kelly Norris is joining me with the Cottage Farms
Good
team.
morning.
You are also an expert. You are also in charge of the horticultural department and Des Moines, Iowa. Is that correct?
At the Botanical Garden, yes.
Botanical Garden, and you're going to walk us through these 4 amazing colors.
Absolutely.
That we are getting all in one. You don't have to choose.
Right, you're getting a great sampling of some classic and some newer varieties of hardy geraniums. The nice thing about hardy geraniums that we really want to emphasize is that these are hardy perennials that will come back year after year and flower in the shade. We all have a lot of shade if we live in cities or urban areas because we've got a lot of trees. I live in a little neighborhood on the north side of downtown Des Moines that has big bur oaks, big 100-year-old oak canopy. So there's a lot of shade in our landscapes, and we've got hostas. We've got all kinds of colorful foliage plants for those landscapes, but so often those shady corners of our yard need a jolt of color in the form of wonderful flowers, and that's what this 4-piece collection. That's why we call it the Shady Days Hardy Geranium Collection, because we have got shade for days and we've got all kinds of color going on in this collection. And what's a really nice kind of pastel blend as we're sort of representing here in these 4 samples that we've got here in front of us. But very tough, easy to grow perennials, hardy. These are, as a designer, something I like to use often in planting designs. Almost, in the case here today, I'd recommend buying a couple sets, frankly, and using them to mix in between other things, groupings of hostas or heucheras, coral bells, whatever you have in the shade garden. This is something that can really amp up those areas with a lot of color.
Kelly, what is the difference between these and other geraniums?
That's a great question. So you may hear geranium and you think, wait, I thought those were those red things, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought, to be honest with you.
Right, so that's a different kind of geranium. Those are actually what we call pelargoniums or zonal geraniums. Those are annuals. These are true geraniums, which are hardy perennials. So these come back year after year. So you hear geranium and you don't have to worry about, a one-hit wonder with these. These are hardy, tough perennials that you'll expect to come back year after year.
Now, for people who might be new to gardening, what is an annual and what is a perennial?
Sure. Well, perennial is something that comes back year after year.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, the great thing about these perennials is that they flower so well. We think of annuals as obviously being plants that only really live for one season. We also think about annuals as plants that give us a lot of flowers. And so one of the things at Cottage Farms that we really look at when we bring perennials together in collections like this is we look at perennials that give us lots and lots of flowers. We've got some great images here to really show you the blend of colors, these blues and kind of soft pinks and lavenders, the Wargrave pink, Amy Doncaster, which is another great variety in the collection, Geranium sanguineum, which is maybe, I don't know, on my desert island list of plants that I would always have to have because it is just so indestructibly good.
Wow.
Really tough perennial. The Johnson's blue there, which again is a really great classic perennial. And today, what we're telling you need to do is reserve these for spring planting, because the great thing about Cottage Farms is that we're going to ship things to you at the right time for planting. That image on the screen is what we're going to show you here in real life. Look at that. And it may not look like much. You think, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with this, right? So we say green side up. You don't have to worry about which way to put this. These little pieces from last year's stems, you see some little green starting to come on in there. You put these in the ground as soon as that box comes from Cottage Farms. Water them in, which here we'll demonstrate this as we talk about it. So we want to dig a shallow hole. I answered this question earlier, actually yesterday. The roots are these kind of hair-like pieces, right? Just get a little hole. You don't have to get much more than a little pocket there in the soil. Backfill, firm temp, and I'll tell you what, you kind of say, now where did it go, right? So once you water these, we've got our Roxanne De Palma's collapsible watering can here, preloaded with our Bud and Bloom Fertilizer. We've got a little plant food already dissolved in there. 1 packet of those, of course, dissolves into 1 gallon of water. And for bare root plants like this, gives them a good boost, a little juice box of plant food to get them going. You'll start to see green growth very quickly after you plant these. And the photos, again, will show you plants what we'll have to really look in the second year in particular. But you really should expect some flowers from these in the first year, because these are sort of raring to go. I mean, they're programmed to give us these kind of summer-long flowering display. I'll tell you, the Geranium sanguineum, which is the pinker of the 4 that are in this set, actually will come back and bloom again in the fall as well.
Oh,
too,
you're kidding.
in a lot of parts of the country. So again, we're getting a lot of value out of these plants.
Of course. Now you are getting a 4-piece of the Shady Days Hardy Geranium collection from Cottage Farms, which means you are getting one of every color.
Right.
So to Kelly's recommendation, you might want to pick up several collections, if you will. So if you were to buy 2, then you're actually going to get 8. You're going to get 2 of the pink, 2 of the purple, 2 of the blue, 2 of the other pink.
Match,
you can
blend them in.
Mix and match them, and they're on a preseason price, $21.72 to get all 4 of these home, or 5 easy monthly payments of $4.34. Now the easy pay goes away at the end of the day, so if you want to take advantage of that, you'll want to do that now. But you're also getting free shipping and handling, and we're not going to send them to you until it's time to ship where you are. Now tell me this. What are we feeding them, and can we plant them in the ground, or do we have to put them in a pot?
You know, these are plants that we really want people to put in the ground if possible. Now, I mean, you could grow them in a container, but you're probably going to enjoy them for years and years if you really get them into those existing flower beds and gardens that you've already got growing. Of course, like we said, any of the tips and tricks and insights we talk about in the shows are always in those cultural guides, and I did name check our Bud and Bloom Fertilizer, which I'll just show folks here because this is a great little sidekick product for so many of our annuals and perennials that just need a little juice box there to get them off to the races in the spring.
And you can grab this on QVC.com.
You bet.
It's very easy to add to your cart this morning, and it's one of those things you're going to use with basically anything you're picking up, if I understand right.
Absolutely. And of course, you know, one of the things is we keep saying, we can't emphasize it enough, in fact, that what you're doing today is a little armchair gardening. You don't have to worry about what to do with these plants.
Right.
Because we're not going to send them to you until it's time to plant them. So based on your zip code or your hardiness zone, you can see there on the map displayed by those colors, and look at the key at the bottom. You'll see the date when we will intend to ship that box to you, of this little box of spring joy. And of course, every plant from Cottage Farms, all the plants we're talking about today, come backed by our guarantee. In the case of these geraniums, we're going to warrant them for a full year from the time of shipment. And bottom line is, if something doesn't